Believe in Yourself, book summary in English. Key points, audiobook fictional audiobook documentary, written for YouTube. Chapter 1. The boy who wasn't supposed to try in a quiet town nestled between hills and forests. Lived a boy named Rian. From a young age, people told him what he couldn't do. He was slow to speak, struggled in school, and rarely finished a sentence without stuttering. His teachers said he would never go far. His neighbors said he wasn't made for success. Even his relatives smiled with pity when he said he wanted to be something great. But Rian didn't argue. He just listened. Every word, every doubt, he wrote down in a little black notebook under the title, "Reasons I Will Prove Them Wrong." One rainy afternoon, as he sat on his rooftop watching lightning split the sky, he made a silent promise to himself. I will never be average. That moment, under the roar of thunder, something inside him changed. The first step? He entered a local spelling contest. Knowing he could barely pronounce half the words, no one expected what happened next. Chapter 2. The contest no one saw coming. The community center was packed. Kids with polished shoes and perfect pronunciation lined up, ready to compete. When Rian's name was called, a few in the crowd chuckled, but word by word, round by round, he didn't just keep up, he led. The final round came. The word was transcendence. A long pause filled the air. People held their breath. Rian spelled it perfectly. Not because he knew it, he hadn't. But he remembered reading it in a book he borrowed from the library 3 nights before. Scribbled in the margin next to a quote, "Believe in yourself when no one else does." He won the contest. But that wasn't the twist. 2 days later, a stranger visited his home. It was the contest judge, a retired author named Mr. Devansh, who had been watching Rian quietly. He handed Rian a book without a title and said, "This helped me believe in myself. Now it's your turn." The book changed everything. Chapter C. For the book with no title. The pages were worn and filled with underlined sentences. No author's name, no index. Just 5 core principles, each marked with a symbol instead of a chapter title. The first principle: you are your own competition. Rian started waking at 5 a.m., not to impress others, but to outdo the version of himself from the day before. The second principle: fear is a false alarm. He stopped avoiding hard tasks. He volunteered to speak at school, even though his voice trembled. And every time he failed, he wrote down one thing he learned, never what went wrong. The third principle: silence is powerful. Rian stopped explaining his dreams to those who laughed. He acted, he studied. He built a version of himself in silence that no one could mock anymore. Then came the 4th and 5th principles, and with them, a storm. Chapter 4. When everything fell apart. Just as Rian began gaining confidence, tragedy struck. His father lost his job. Bills piled up. School became secondary to survival. Rian considered quitting. The book, his guide, was soaked in rain after a stormy night and nearly ruined. The pages with the final 2 principles were torn. He had no idea what they said. But then, he remembered a line from the earlier chapters. When the map is gone, the mission remains, so he guessed. The 4th principle: consistency beats talent. He began teaching younger kids in the neighborhood, earning small amounts, while still studying by night. The 5th? He wasn't sure. But he believed it had to be this: believe, even in the dark. That belief carried him through the hardest year of his life. Then came the surprise. Chapter 5. The secret of the missing pages years past. Rian graduated. He wrote, he taught, he grew. One day, while helping clean the old community center, he found a locked drawer. Inside was another copy of the same mysterious book, this time complete. The final 2 principles were exactly as he had guessed. But there was one more twist. Tucked in the back cover was a note. If you are reading this, you were meant to write the next version. The world doesn't need more believers in luck. It needs believers in themselves. Rian published his version of the book. It reached thousands. And the title? Believe in Yourself. The story of the boy who wasn't supposed to try. Conclusion. The real key points of believing in yourself aren't about being loud, smart, or lucky. They're about competing with your past, facing fear, using silence, staying consistent, and believing even when there's no proof. Rian's journey shows us that greatness begins not in confidence, but in commitment.